Cool.
Cool. So we're on?
We are on.
So I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike.
And this is our creative podcast.
Yeah, creative podcast. We want to focus on Las Vegas area creatives for the most part. Maybe we'll venture out of Las Vegas, but we really want to make a home base for Las Vegas creatives and, give us more of a voice and help each other out and teach each other stuff and learn from each other and all that jazz.
Yeah, photo, video, illustration, music, pretty much anything. Bartenders, even just anybody
food. Chefs.
Anybody that's doing anything cool in Las Vegas and that we just want to talk to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or if you have a cool job, maybe you're not a cool person, but you got a cool job.
If you got a cool job, you're a cool person.
Yeah.
But you can be a cool person, but not a cool job either.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've come across that a lot. So
for sure. Yeah. So, to kick it off, where are you from?
I was born in California, in Southern California, and moved out to Vegas, the desert, about 7 years ago. My wife is born and raised here, so that's how I got out here. What about you?
I was born and raised here, and so I never really came out here.
Stuck.
I was stuck here. Growing up, I would always think I wanted to leave when I got, to that age. And the older I got, the more I really loved Las Vegas and the more of a niche I carved out for myself, especially in photography. So I feel really fortunate to still be here and have a nice network of people going to high school here and school and all that stuff. But I really love Las Vegas and I'm really grateful to be here.
And how'd you get started in photography?
So when I was 16, my mom got me a camera. I was just goofing and saying, I remember there's these mountains next to the house and it snowed. I was like, oh, these look really nice. It'd be so cool if I had a camera. And luckily that year she had a little bit extra scratch and she was like, oh, I'm gonna get you a camera. And then I just started when I was 16, got on YouTube, kind of taught myself a lot of stuff. And then kept shooting through high school, would drag out ex-girlfriends to the desert and take photos of them and stuff. And then went to school I took a class in high school. Mm-hmm. Took 3 college classes. Dropped out because it was too expensive. And then I got my first photography job as a wedding photographer at a chapel when I was 20. And then I quit that. And then when I turned 21, started hustling full time. Met some people that helped me out quite a bit. Really grateful for them and put me in some right place. And I just worked my ass off. And that was 8 years ago. So
nice.
Now I'm just still grinding.
Right. Still freelancing?
Still freelancing. Just trying to be a road dog, Just out there traveling, working my ass off. But what about you? How'd you get started?
Pretty similar. And just around high school, maybe towards the end, my mom had a old 35 millimeter Minolta. I think I gave it back. But started with 35 millimeter, just shooting, you know what I mean? Friend figure it out, get it developed, and it's trash. It was weird colors because she had a filter on it at the time, so all the pictures were very yellowy, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then just kind of started there, and I just started taking photos of friends, and then eventually got a little, I don't remember what it was, but it was a Canon something from Best Buy, so a little $400 Canon at Best Buy. And then just started there and then shooting friends and clothing companies and street art and just basic bullshit. Yeah. And then it just progressed and then, music and just kind of just amateur to more and more professional. And I'd say it wasn't until I moved out here to Vegas where it skyrocketed for me in that sense of things really picked up,
And in what sense? Just doing more client work or?
More client work, more consistent work to where I was able to go full time, and just a better body of saying, oh, this guy's a photographer versus hey, I can take photos here, look at these. And it's okay, we'll see.
You start referring to yourself as a photographer.
Yeah.
I remember that was a big pivoting point for me. I was listening to, I think it was, I think it was Joe Rogan or like Casey Neistat or something back in the day, and they were saying, hey, like, you know, if you have a day job and you're also this thing, don't say I have a day job and I do this. Say, hey, I'm this, but I also have a day job. Start referring to yourself as this, and that'll help you get in the mindset, and then help tell other people that you are this.
Yeah, so. I think that's a big key, because at first I did electrical for 18 years, and so I was always, I'm an electrician, but I also do photos, and it's like now it's like no, that electrician part of me is like a different lifetime. It's like, no, I'm a photographer.
For sure. Okay. So you mentioned you were an electrician for 18 years. When did you finally make the jump or feel comfortable enough to make the jump from an electrician full-time to a full-time freelancer?
It wasn't until late September of 2020, actually, where I was putting myself in the mindset to make the jump. And initially, I worked for a private company out here, and I was going to go union. And so I was already like putting my 2 weeks in and getting the things in place to then join the union. And my mindset was just kind of like, well, if you're already putting your mindset of leaving A, why go to B? Why don't you do what you really want to do and do photography? So I had money saved up and kind of things like that, and started to put those things in place of mentally of like, I'm quitting this safety net in 2 weeks. Then it's all photos all the time. Like, what do I need to have in place? Do or die, like shit or get off the pot. And so that's why I started like put myself in that mindset. What do I need in place for the first month, the first 3 months? Like, how is this going to work? Like, I don't want to jump off the ship and then sink. So,
and then the worst thing would be to have to like, hey, you know what? Actually, I need that job back. Then just quit.
Which I did have that. I left on good terms. Like, that company was really great, so I didn't want to burn that bridge in case a few months go by and I'm like, hey, remember me?
I'm the photographer.
It was September of 2020, and I was just so busy working that construction from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., shooting gigs in between, and then sometimes shooting the nightlife stuff where I'm then getting off at 2 a.m. and then going to work at 4. So it was just kind of like, something's got to give, and I didn't really want photography to take the back seat.
Do you feel that, because you said September 2020, so we're in the middle of the pandemic, do you feel like that helped you? Because more people had more free time to maybe do stuff with you and shoot with you? Or do you think that was maybe, like, how did the pandemic play a role into you? Because you quit like right in the middle of it. Like, most people would be like, no, I want to keep my job. Because you were working during the pandemic, right? Yeah,
I worked all the way through it. So to me, luckily, it was kind of like, in a sense, getting out of the woods of the crazy pandemic part. Like, we weren't locked down necessarily. So it wasn't, on paper, it probably wasn't the best time to quit your career. But for me, like, the way that everything was lining up, I got to do it now.
It was perfect.
So luckily it worked out. And if that to me was slow season, I'm excited to get into kind of where we're at now, where it's like, oh, it's busy. So take it while you got it.
That's awesome.
What about you? What did you do before?
So I was a lifeguard.
Okay.
Because I started when I was 20, so I was lifeguarding. I was managing a pool for the summers, and then I would work at so I would work at the pools, and then my first like big boy job, I was 18 or 19, and I worked at a rigging company where I would load trucks. So I wanted to be a rigger. I used to rock climb and stuff, and I wanted to be in that like stage stuff.
It's not a bad job. It seems like an interesting field.
Yeah, it was sick. But then I realized like I didn't have any time for myself. I was working 9 to 5, and then I was working with like a bunch of drunks, and like they were cool dudes, but like I was like, oh, I could just turn into this person if I don't do anything different. So then I quit that, and then I worked at the pool one last summer, and then luckily over that summer I got that job as a wedding photographer at a wedding chapel here in town, and then.
Which chapel was it? Do you remember?
It's called Chapel of the Flowers. It was on Oakey and Las Vegas Boulevard. It was like one of the nicer ones.
Right.
I didn't care for it too much, but it really taught me. I was a secondary shooter, and I would walk from inside the chapel to outside and do like pose sessions with them. So it'd be like light, dark. I would constantly be having to change my settings, and I feel like that really helped me hone in my my skills.
Right. Technical aspect.
Exactly. Be a better photographer. And then. I was butting heads with them. It was very corporate. I wasn't really into it. I was like the artsy kid. I was like, oh, this is too square for me, man. And then I met some local guys here in town. Some people referred me to a guy named Tony here in town who worked in nightlife. And luckily he put me under his wing and started booking me for stuff. And he was actually the one who said, hey man, I think this chapel's holding you back.
Right.
And then I was like, I think you're right. But I was too scared.
Right.
And then I realized I still live at home with my mom. Fortunately, I was 20, or I was 21 at the time. And then I was like, you know what, you're right. And I just quit. And then I basically told him, hey, like whatever work you have, I'll do it. And then I just like sleep, ate and breathed like nightlife and just shot all that with him. And any work that I could get, I would say yes to. And I'm even still kind of like that. I have a hard time saying no to work.
Yeah.
Which is another issue. But yeah, I would just say yes to everything, put myself in those situations. And then even if like a job wasn't paying the best, at the time it was amazing because I was just so young and learning. But I'd always say yes and always try to like take that opportunity and like try to meet people and like,
Right.
because you know, sometimes even if you know, if the job's not ideal, you can always make the best of it and network. And,
Yeah. So that's a question I have is what is that balance between the money, say, of a certain gig or project and the opportunity that you can then make from that?
For sure. Yeah. So fortunately now I'm farther along in my career that the gap has gotten bigger because even if it's a really good job, fortunately, knock on wood, I still get paid close to what I want or at close to ideal. But there still are some situations. You know, I got hit up to shoot a music festival a few months ago here in town last minute. They needed somebody on a Sunday, and it was a Friday. And I had two jobs booked on that Sunday already. And they said, hey, would you come and shoot with us? And basically, they only offered me $600 for a 12-hour day. And then I'm like, well, it's a music festival. I'd really love to be there and get some cool stuff for my portfolio. I can meet some people. But then I would have to bail on two of my clients who regularly hire me, which isn't cool.
Yep.
And that outweighed the $600 and that outweighed the potential people I would meet.
Right.
And then I basically was like, hey, you know what? That's outside of my budget. I'm already booked. But if you guys want, please hold on to my number and we could talk next year.
Yeah.
And they seem super cool about it.
Yeah, I think that's a tough line for a number of reasons of like, yeah, I already have this thing and like, I don't ever want to bail on somebody or in this case, multiple people. And it's like, so you got to just trust your gut and go, yeah, I can't bail on this for the potential of something else. Cause this is kind of like set in stone. You already have them, you work with them a lot. This is uncertain. So yeah, don't rock the boat in that case.
For sure. Yeah. And like those clients will, if you treat your clients like well, like they'll go far. And then I always feel too with some of my clients, like there's ebbs and flows. Like they'll book me for like a few months.
Right.
Then I won't talk to them for a few months. I'm like, oh, I lost that client. And all of a sudden they'll start hitting me up again, you know? So I try not to be too inside of my head about those things and just kind of I just treat everybody cool, try to do as best work as I can, be professional. And that's something I've been working on more lately too, is trying to be more professional.
Yeah. In like what sense?
Just more of like the business sense. I think when it comes to the technical aspect, like I still have a lot to learn, but I think I have a great base. But when it comes to the business stuff, I'm such a novice. Like, I
think most of us are of like sending invoices, contracts, just presenting people with professional emails or, you know, even like pre-production walks for shoots and just making sure all of those ducks are in a row to that way, you know, when you are on the shoot, everything's in place. But it's like those little things that we're learning as we go, like, yeah, good thing I did this, good thing I made this checklist, good thing I did that walk to see how this space, you know, lays out, like what food is being brought or how many models are we shooting? How many dishes? What is my time frame for, say, each location? So yeah, I agree, those little things and just little like email, like I said, you know, like you can't be emailing someone from Win Nightlife or MGM with, you know, like Sugar Baby 6969, like it just doesn't.
It's a great email though.
Yeah, it's probably taken at Yahoo.
Yeah, so it's that coupled with, the emails, the invoices. Just made like a company logo. I just made an LLC. I have an LLC bank account now, and I have to pay myself out of that. So now I can be more professional and become vendors of these casinos. Yep. In and of itself. And even still too, like, you know, I don't like wearing, you know, dress clothes and stuff, but even now when I'm shooting more corporate events, I'm like, all right, I'll throw the button up on or throw the polo, you know, I'm not doing the full dress slacks and everything, but I'll do all black and I'll do a collared shirt.
Show blacks.
And even before I was kind of like, nah, I'm a photographer. Like, I'm not doing that. But now it's like, you know what? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I cringe at it a little bit, but you know.
It's not bad. Just wearing like all black and then some decent shoes that are, going to get stepped on and alcohol spilled. It's not bad.
Yeah, but I'm talking more about like corporate stuff, like collared shirts and stuff.
Oh, no.
That's what I mean, yeah.
I'll wear the button up, but yeah, I don't know about a collared shirt yet.
Exactly. Like I'll do a polo or like a short sleeve button up, like especially for conventions and stuff and like big convention clients. I shot one a few weeks ago and everybody was wearing it and I was the only one in a t-shirt. I was like, oh. So the next day I definitely put on a polo.
Yeah, I had a gig for a red carpet recently. It fell through last minute, but yeah, the attire was tux.
Yeah.
What's the word? Because it wasn't required, but it was suggested.
Strongly suggested.
It didn't say strongly, but yeah. So I was talking to another photographer, and he's like, "Yeah, everyone I know is wearing a tux," and I was like, "Fuck, I don't have a tux."
Yeah, I don't even have a suit.
I don't want to show up not wearing a tux, but at the same time, it's like I got like 4 hours, and is it worth it? Like I'm just like I'm doing video and things like that. So I don't know how that situation would have played out, but yeah, I probably would have been looking around going, "Oh, I feel like an idiot."
That is a pretty. I try not to let it get to me, but also like, yeah, when you're in those bigger ticket clients, you're like, fuck, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
the odd duck.
Yeah. I am behind the scenes, like I am on this side of the camera, but I still see, like representation does go a long way. First impressions, you never know who you run into at a thing like that. And it's like, who's this guy wearing this,
But with that being said, I think, 98% of gigs, except like red carpet stuff, corporate events, and then weddings, I think all black t-shirt, jeans, and black shoes, you're fine.
Safe all day.
Yeah, just production standard.
Speaking of shoes, I noticed we got our nice kicks on today.
Yeah, I had to bring them out for the podcast,
Yeah.
I don't go out too much anymore, so I gotta get spiffed up for you.
Yeah, spiffed up for all the people watching, listening, I guess.
No, I just want for you.
Yeah, just for me.
Not them.
That's it.
Yeah. So what other projects have you been working on lately?
I did a few projects recently that were pretty cool. Had a big shoot for New York, a little more lifestyle-y, but that was fun. I got to kind of go a little crazy as far as creatively, I guess. Had another little food shoot for Park MGM, which was cool. And then I was on a production shoot. We were shooting at Delilah at Wynn, which was awesome. That was a 2-day shoot. And I was lighting assistant, and I also shot film. So it was second shooter, but it was just film. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool to get a paid gig to shoot film.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It's also a paid gig to just like be a lighting, grip, or whatever the term is. Lighting guy. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Guy with lights.
Yeah, guy moving the lights and making sure everything's...
Guy who lights.
Sweet stuff. But yeah, those were cool. Upcoming, I have some stuff for the NFL draft at the end of the month.
Oh, sick.
That's going to be in town. That should be pretty cool. But that's pretty much it on the horizon. What about you?
Nice. I just did
Start with past.
Yeah, I just did a
projects.
job with Pepsi.
Nice.
Nothing crazy. They just had an activation at the link, and it was so they had this huge activation where you'd go to the promenade to go get on the high roller. You'd walk through the lobby area, and there's a bar. So they had this new concept called Pepsi or Nitro Pepsi. So it's kind of like a Guinness draft, but it's Pepsi instead of carbon dioxide. Instead of that, whatever that is normally, it's nitrogen now.
Okay.
So it's really fine bubbles, and they had this huge activation, and then I just got to shoot that. It was pretty rad. And then just outside of that, just the normal stuff, some random food and beverage stuff with some clients here in town. Nightlife gigs. I got to shoot 311 a few weeks ago, which
on 311, I'm sure.
On 311, which was pretty rad.
Fitting.
Very fitting. That crowd is fun. And then in the future, a couple food and beverage stuff's coming up. Nothing too exciting, unfortunately. I think everything kind of comes in like week of or 2 week increments.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? I'm shooting some more comedy this weekend.
Oh, nice.
For the Wynn Theater. I did that a couple weeks ago. Big comedy fans. That was a
photo or video?
photo.
Okay.
So that was super fun. Yeah, and then festival season's coming up, so I'm hoping I get some last minute bookings for that.
Yeah, we got EDC coming up.
Yeah.
Coachella's this weekend and next weekend, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some people are going out there right now.
Yeah.
But it seems like right now it's pretty slow in Vegas a little bit. It's like this last lull before the summer just like fully jets off.
Yeah.
At least for me, these are the venues I've been shooting at. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's about it. Kind of quiet week, which is weird because I feel I needed it. I got to just go mountain biking and relax and work out and take care of myself, which is amazing. But in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, like I'm kind of slow this week. This feels weird. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I supposed to be this slow?
Am I stressing? Yeah.
My friends are working right now. Like, what's wrong? Like,
yeah.
Do you ever find that you run into that issue or that thought process?
Yeah. So it for me, it's also that comparison game that gets it, like you said, in our own head of everyone's doing this and this person's here and this person's working this. And it's like, well, I'm not working this particular day, this particular thing. You just kind of got to let it go. You got to, like, for me, there was a point in time where I was doing that quite a bit, like a few months ago. I was like, oh, he's here and she's here, and then, but I'm not. And it's like, dude, just get off the phone if that's the case. You know what I mean? Because if you're not on your phone and you're not seeing it, then you're not going to compare.
That's a really good tip that I never thought of.
To me, that's a big one. Like, just get off your phone for a bit, maybe reset, you know, and just focus on more things. Like, take that time, say you are off for a few days and you're kind of tripping, then yeah, maybe update your website or, you know, reach out to some clients that, you know, reached out and, hey, like, just checking in on you. So,
or even just do something to like help your own like mental health, or just like go work out, go for a walk, hang out with the family.
Yep.
Take the dogs for a walk.
Yeah. Get your mind off of things. And I think that also goes as well for like creative ruts, you know, like do something else that way your mind is not on that. Go mountain biking, go for a walk, go walk the strip in our case. You know, we have like a lot of things here that you can do to just kind of turn the work part of your brain off. So I recommend that. Yeah,
and that's something that I think people don't talk about, or maybe they do, but I've never really talked about, is that you have a 9 to 5 and then you're stuck in the office all day or doing whatever. And then you're like, oh, this sucks. I want to be a full-time blank. Mm-hmm. When you're a full-time blank, yes, like maybe I'll be physically out of the house on a job, like 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 30 hours a week if I'm lucky, if it's a good week. But then the rest of the time, I'm like, my brain's constantly going. I'm constantly thinking about work, constantly like comparing myself to other people, being insecure, being fearful for the future, or just stressing, or just being creative. I mean, it's good in a lot of senses, but a lot of senses too, it's very hard for me to turn it off. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference too, that people don't really think about. Yeah, because when you're 9 to 5, you clock out, you're done. Mm-hmm. You're done.
Yep.
You know, I feel like the only way I could ever be done is when I leave my camera at home and then I go on a vacation.
Yep.
And then it's even hard for me to leave my camera at home. Yeah.
That's tough because, again, like photography and videography is our work, but it's also still our hobby. Yeah. So when you're turning off the work mic, well, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to go to this place. I'm going to go to this beach or go to this, you know, I'm going to go to this new country. I want to take photos. I want to document it. That's just human nature. We want to document it anyway, but it's also my hobby. I can take some really cool photos of this cathedral or whatever. So it's tough to not bring the camera everywhere and really just enjoy those days or those moments.
I was going to ask you just went on vacation?
I didn't bring it. Well, so I didn't bring the digital stuff, mm-hmm. which I feel like is a good step. I did bring some film. I did bring some film with me when we went on our recent trip to Malibu, but I feel like it's kind of my scapegoat because literally I'm just shooting film and I'm not reviewing. I'm not like really critiquing or, I got to edit or upload.
Very in the moment.
It's pretty much in the moment. So if that's my balance, I'll take it.
That's awesome. Maybe I should get a film camera.
Yeah, I think it's a good, like I said, I still feel like I don't feel not useless, but like idle hands, you know, but.
Yeah, I went to Lake Tahoe last year and, I mean, it's just so beautiful. I had to bring my camera and I brought my time-lapse slider. So I was taking a time-lapse and it was just pissing rain. And my girl was like, come on, we gotta go. I'm like, no, I gotta like get this shot, hold on. And then her and the dog are just like standing in the rain while I'm like in the water up to my knees trying to get this sick time.
Right.
And then, I mean, after that, we were there for like a week and I didn't touch my camera after that. I was like, all right, let's just.
Yeah.
So, it's just so hard though, you know?
Again, it is that balance of, oh, I want to get these moments and capture these cool things that I'm not going to come back for necessarily if it's out of the country, out of the state. At the same time, you don't want to look back on that trip and go, well, how was it? Well, I just kind of did too many photos, and it's like,
yeah, being more in the moment with loved ones, I think, is a good one.
Yeah.
But what, so I was on a gig the other day, and this is like a pet peeve I found recently.
Okay.
Is when somebody, so I'm on a gig, doing my thing. I was hired to shoot some architecture photos of this holistic health studio and also do some headshots of the staff. And then one of the staff members is like, oh, you're a photographer. So what are your rates? And I'm just like, oh, that's one of my biggest pet peeves because you're not gonna just throw a number out there. So have you ever run into that issue? And if you have, like, how do you like to handle it?
I've run into that issue a number of times. And I usually just say, here's my card, here's my email, let's chat outside of this. Like, it's just not, one, it's not professional. And two, for me, it's just not kosher to be like, I'm on this project, this gig, to take time away from that. Even if that's still the direct client and they're talking about something else, it's like, hey, we're here for this, let's focus on this. It's just, for me, I feel like it's disrespectful to that current thing to then be like, oh, but I also charge X amount for an hour or a project. So it's like, let's focus on this, and then we'll email or we'll jump on a call and we'll talk about that.
That's cool. That's a great way to handle it. And that's basically what I did. But that's a good point too, to like, you don't want to take yourself out of the current situation you're in with that client because that is pretty disrespectful. And I never even thought about that. And that's pretty great. Have you had any recent pet peeves out on jobs and stuff?
Yeah, well, like one pet peeve I notice is kind of same thing on a shoot when you're dealing with client or a project, and it's kind of like, oh, here's how I want this. Okay, cool. Like, I got no problem, like, hey, capturing that thing, that vision exactly how you want it. But then what always happens is it's like, okay, this is how I'm picturing it, exactly, do it like this. Cool, got it to a T. And then it's like, oh, but do your thing, you're the creative. It's like, well, which is it? Do I have some freedom or do I just trust my gut and maybe play it safe and go, this is exactly what the client wants? Cool.
Yeah, I just play dumb basically. I'm just like, yeah, sure. Like, I put all my reservations aside. I was like, sure.
Yeah. Me, like, number one is just get what they want. And then if they're like, oh, but you're the creative, do what you want. It's like, okay. Yeah, I know you don't really mean that because you still have your taste and your visions.
But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Recommendations. I feel like maybe this is more on probably more on our side as someone asking advice. And I know recently another photographer out in New York had reached out to me and asked me a question about something in particular, and I gave him some advice, like in my experience. And he was like, wow, man, that's really cool that you are kind of giving me these tips or whatever. Like, that's really cool that you're talking to me. And I'm like, yeah, dude, not a problem. He's like, most people don't. And I feel like that's kind of been like, what's the word? Like, I feel like that's been very like taboo, is like, you don't share any information or you don't help anyone out because they may be stealing work from you. It's like, dude, like, one, there's so much work to go around. And two, in my case, I'm talking to somebody who lives in New York. What am I scared for?
Well, that's kind of the whole point of this podcast too. It's like, I just want to help people be cool. And I feel like too, do that because you want to genuinely be nice, but also in the grand scheme of things, I think, you scratch somebody's back, I think in the future your back will be scratched. Or for instance, there's people who helped us out when we were early in our careers. So now let's kind of pay it back or pay it forward. Yeah. In that sense. So I think anybody who tries to reach out to me, I always try to get back to them. I always try to, and then even like I do it more so with local people.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I think that's, again, like I said, it goes both ways, because I've asked people questions before that don't know me or didn't really need to give me advice or even respond to like some question, and certain people will take that time out to respond to you. So it's like, yeah, like I've been on both sides of that fence, that like, okay, so yeah, if somebody's asking, yeah, here's my experience, what happened, good luck, and here you go.
Yeah. Shouts out to all those people, man. I would not be here if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think the competition aspect is, I think maybe times are different now, and it's not, the only way I can see the competition aspect is like, if you're gonna steal a client from me directly, like, oh, Mike charges 300, well, I could do it for 100. It's like, you're clearly, trying to undercut me, but that hasn't really happened.
Yeah, I think, I think it's probably happened to everybody here and there, and now I just try to, I just let it go. I don't take it personally, and then I just try to I know what number I want, and I know where my work's at, and I just try to stay true to myself. Mm-hmm. And the other thing too, I got this compliment from a client of mine, and it meant a lot. They said they want to keep working with me because my work's good and because I'm easy to work with.
Right.
That's like the best compliment I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
It's like that I make it easy for them. They don't have to think anything extra. There's no like, oh, well, I could this, that, or what if we do this, that. It's just, hey, are you available at this time? I'm like, yep, I'll be there. Or, hey, I'm unavailable, I'm sorry, Yeah,
and there's a million of those little things that could either go your way or not your way of that same thing of, Mike's great, his work's great, his prices are great, let's say, but X, Y, or Z. And it's like, it could be the littlest thing. Like, his work's great, his prices are great, but his schedule sucks. And it's like, God, that's why I didn't get that. Like, so any little thing that you can use in your favor, go for it.
Yeah, ease of use, I think, for the client. Because the client is using you, so they want it to be easy for them.
And you don't know what little dumb thing could get you that or not get you, where it's like, no, maybe not this time. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and I think just trying to stay true to yourself too. Like, just, I get pretty insecure and I get pretty self-conscious about my work and my clients, and I just try to remind myself, hey, dude, I'm doing good. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, I have those moments more than I'd like to admit of, after a shoot and you're just like, man, I could have done this better. I could have done this. Why didn't I think of this? I don't know. Did I suck? Did I do good? No, I did good and I suck. And it's like, have you seen that, like, that thing recently? It's like the creative process. Mm-hmm. So it's just like this text and it's like the creative process and it's like, I love it. I hate it. Love it. Hate it. And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, it's good. Yeah. And that's literally our brains, numerous times a day. Like, love it. Hate it. I suck. I'm good. It's not that bad.
Well, for instance, too, I think this is a good rule of thumb, too. A friend of mine told me this is like letting it marinate, like sitting on something. Mm-hmm. It's hard in our industry when they need the work the following day or, 48 hours. But I shot an event recently and it was really hard to shoot and it was all red lighting. Mm-hmm. And I hated all the images. And then I went back 2 weeks later, I'm like, dude, these are sick.
Right.
So like, just let it sit a little bit, let your brain think about something else and then look back on your work. Because I'm trying to get better about Instagram and posting more frequently and staying on top of it. So I was like going back through some old stuff and I really surprised myself, which is also a cool feeling.
Yeah, I love doing that, of going through an old photos or older, whatever that means to you, and re-editing things or going through them because you're like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought, or wow, I found better ones. So yeah, I'm the same way of, I don't want to, it usually takes like a second visit to go, okay, these are not as bad as I thought. Or maybe at least just look at them right away and then go, okay, I looked at the evidence, like, they're not as bad as I thought in my head.
Yeah, I was told, it's actually my buddy Enrique, he was here in town. We took a college class together. He always, like, when he would edit something and then he would sleep on it and then look at it again in the morning to get some fresh eyes on it, which is always a cool tip.
Yeah. So it's tough because either we have clients that want things right away, or ourselves are so excited to get to it that it's kind of like a counterintuitive. What are some lessons that you're still learning, or lessons that you've learned and things that you're like trying to work on still, or things that you want to work on?
So are you asking me in a technical aspect or in just a broad aspect?
Just anything that comes to mind, like, yeah, it can kind of be whatever comes to your mind of things you want to work on. Or
so technically I'll do two. So technically I want to get better at food and beverage photography. I think that I have enough experience to where I could do a pretty good job and like the client's happy, or the clients that I have currently are happy, but I just want to feel more confident in it. And I want to sit down and take the time to like practice at home. Yeah. Get a bowl of fruit and light it and like come up with different lighting situations. Most of the time I get a deck from a client and I'm like, oh, cool. So I have this is what they want. I've kind of done this before. I have a good idea what I'm going to do. And then I allow myself to have that time on set. It's like, okay, let me just double check it. And then it looks good. But I don't want to ever run into the issue where I can't figure something out without without dry running it at home first.
Yeah.
That, and then the other thing I want to get better at is just work-life balance. Is just, like I said previously, I had some time this week to like ride my bike a bunch, and like that felt really good, and I feel really level-headed because of it. I just need to learn to say no sometimes to some gigs and allow myself to have the time to take care of myself a little better.
That's tough. But I think that you just gotta, for me, when I am going through like a busy period and then like I don't want to say slow, but yeah, when I'm not working, is enjoy both those moments. Like, oh, I'm really busy these 3 days. It's just crazy. Same day turnarounds edits. It's crazy. But I know that the ending is in sight. I will get a break in a couple days, I'd say. So enjoying the busy part of it, but then also enjoying the part where you are, riding your bike or going out to dinner with your lady, and just I've had a few days off, but like enjoy it because you'll be busy. So
yeah, enjoying the lulls, because I'll have the lulls, and like we said before, I'm stressed that I have a lull, and trying to just be more in the moment and enjoy it. So that's what I want to work on. Are there what things do you want to work on?
Yeah, just lighting, different things, because there's so many different options. You could have 2, 3, 4 lights, 1 light, like grid, backlit. Like there's so many different things, and I like that the possibilities are endless in that thing. So just different lighting. I've always had like a fascination with lighting. So that, as far as like a technical aspect, a second thing, it's not really something I learned, but things that I look forward to is being on these bigger shoots. These more production shoots, because there's more players involved, and I like that aspect of creative directors on set, clients on set. Like there's a lot of moving parts, like working with a team to achieve that goal. That's something different for me.
Yeah, like being a part of a team. That's something I want to do more of too, because I feel like I don't want to like have a team of people who work under me. That's not maybe if there's a big job here or there, but like I don't want to do that full time. But being a part of a bigger project is cool. Yeah. And lately some clients I've been working with, I feel that a little bit more, and it's awesome. It's a cool feeling. It's, you feel like you have, like, hey, I'll do this. I got your back here and there. And just being on, like, we did a couple big projects, and it was just so much fun. Just like, hey, like, what do you think about this lighting? Yeah. Oh, you know what I was thinking? Kind of like, oh yeah, you're right. That looks cool. And then even just having like people to help you load stuff in and out. Like I've been doing these food shoots, and it's just, it's kind of a lot of work sometimes. Like just pushing your car all through these casinos, and it's rad to just be with the team and feel the camaraderie with other people. Yeah, that's another thing is like it's, and for us, it's like it's fun to meet people that are in the same line of work, because you can kind of nerd out with them. But on a bigger shoot or a production shoot, you're nerding out, but you're also at work. So like you said, you're checking this out, you're giving your input, they're giving your input, and it's like we're all kind of flowing together. And I was on a shoot recently where I was, like I said, just a lighting grip, and at first I'm like, oh man, like that's not my strong suit, like I'm a photographer. But even just being around that environment where you are working with a team and you are giving input of like, hey, check this out, what do you think about this? How's the lighting on this? Or how's this clip? It still was just as fulfilling as being the one to like get the shot, so to speak. Button. So that was still like a really good boost of what's the word, serotonin? Is that the word? Yeah, sure. We'll go with it. I'm not a scientist, but so being around that environment of, like I said, a team and moving lights and checking things out and like, hey, whoa, what about this? Or let's try this. Like that was a really cool feeling to be a part of. So more of that. Yeah, and it's like you have someone to have your back too. It's like, you have someone to have your back, and then you have theirs of saying like, ooh, I don't like this. Could you maybe move this? And it's like, okay, cool. It's like constructive. No one's like, whoa, I'm the videographer, back off, or I'm the DP, like back off. It's like, no, like we're all like, okay, cool, I'll try that. Like, all this together. Yeah, and I think that just in general, like as being somebody, like in our cases,
photo and video, you need, like, it seems singular at first, but you work for clients, you work for people, you always are gonna have that like team aspect of it, so you can't be selfish in that aspect.
Yeah.
So I think that like things like that help build that up. Like I said, of somebody being like, oh, can we try this again? Or hey, maybe that's not in focus, or little things like that. You're like, oh, gotcha, let me redo that. Or yeah, let me get that again, I didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll always be some sort of team for the most part, even if it's not directly working with you, like a marketing team.
Right.
Even though it's not your team, they're your client. But yeah, so we still don't have a name yet for this podcast.
Still don't have a name. I thought I had a name, and I didn't write it down.
Yeah, we actually had notes for this whole episode, and I lost them. So that's something I want to work on too, is being a little more organized with my notes. Maybe have a notebook opposed to just loose notes everywhere.
Yep. Get a notebook. Yeah, we don't have a name.
Yeah, and ideally we were thinking about doing this once a week, but I think just to start out, since we are pretty busy, maybe like twice a month, once every other week.
Yeah, something, especially because, this is like we're doing it all ourselves. And we are setting up and breaking down in an area. We don't just have it, like if this was just set up, then yeah, that'd be easy. Flip on the camera, flip on the lights and go. But we're kind of setting everything up ourselves.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys have any names, recommendations, shoot them to us. And whoever did listen to this first one, thank you so much.
Yeah, episode 1, this may be the official first one.
I think so. I think we did pretty good.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
The other one, we threw it in the trash.
Yeah. It was a learning experience, learning curve.
Yeah.
But cool, man. I think that's a wrap.
See ya.
See ya.